I've bought a lot of camera gear throughout my time as a filmmaker, but none of it has come close to being the perfect solution for my needs. Until now. I believe that filmmakers tend to get too caught up in the gear a lot of the time, so much so that they actually forget about what matters, which essentially is just getting the shot. So my philosophy is that your camera rig should be quick to set up, it should be easy to change up for different shots, and it should be small and lightweight enough so that you can get all the planned shots with ease. It really is that simple. Your goal should really just be to try and capture the shot as good as possible. And to do that as efficient as possible, I truly believe that I've found all the gear that's needed by now. So let's go through all the gear I've assembled here. Step 1. Camera body. The main camera I'm using is the Sony FX3, which is the smallest full-frame cinema grade camera that Sony has in their lineup. You can record footage in up to 4K 120 FPS in 10-bit 422 color. And it has a log profile called S-Log3, which has 15 stops of dynamic range. So you have a lot of flexibility to create a great looking color grade with little to no banding in the colors. The biggest deal for me, however, is that it has a fan so it doesn't overheat, which is essential for long talking sessions. It also comes with a handle that has an XLR input for connecting some better quality microphones like this one or this one, which is super nice. Phenomenal camera in a small form factor. Step 2. Cage and accessories. Around the entire camera body I have Smallrig Hawklock gear and accessories, which has quick releases everywhere. This is essential for me since it makes it super fast and easy to change the placement of the equipment to many different spots. So it's super easy for me to both film others and myself super fast, because it can quickly be changed around in a hurry. The cage also has a small tool magnetized underneath to fasten bolts and screw things on or off it, which is super useful for changing things up. Since my tripod allows for DJI RS plates, I also got the Hawklock RS plate for being able to quickly take the camera off the tripod and put it onto a gimbal. Also super useful. Step 3. Tripod. Speaking of tripod, this is the core of my fast and agile camera rig, because this Smallrig X Potato Jet Tripex tripod can do something quite unique. By simply pulling this lever, you can raise or lower all the legs simultaneously. This makes capturing some footage of either yourself or your surroundings extremely fast and super easy, because in 1 second it's closed and in the next it's fully opened up and ready to be used. Apart from that, then having other surfaces underneath while opening it up also isn't a problem at all, since it can be adjusted to the surface. It also has counterbalance to a certain extent, just don't expect it to hold a massive camera rig. I'm also quite tall at 190 centimeters or 6.3 feet, so it's nice that it can go all the way up to my head. The quick release with the RS plate also just fits well in with the rest of the build. Step 4. Lenses. I have a few different lenses, but the ones that I mostly use is my 16-28mm f2.8 lens and my 70-200mm f2.8 lens from Sigma. The Sigma 16-28 is great for getting a wide perspective of the scene. It isn't that heavy, has internal zooming, and also has a great affordable price compared to Sony's 16-35 G Master 1 and 2. Only kinda bad thing is that 28mm in my opinion is a little short in the other end of the zoom range. I really would have wished that it reached all the way to 35mm like the Sony lens. But apart from that, then it's great. 80% of all the footage I film is done with this lens. The rest is done with this behemoth, the Sigma 70-200mm f2.8. This lens is mostly used for close-ups or something that needs a compressed background. Since it zooms so much and you have a f2.8 aperture, then it also creates a really shallow depth of field, which looks really great in a lot of scenarios. I've struggled using this lens before, since it weighs just under 2 kilograms, so it's quite heavy, which all my previous tripods couldn't handle. But it's no longer an issue, and I'm definitely gonna use this lens a lot more in the future now. Step 5. Filter. A filter I have on my lenses a lot of the time is this Nisi True Color ND filter 1 to 5 stops. ND filters is used to darken the outside world so that you have the ability to uphold the 180-degree shutter rule that states that your shutter speed should be double your frame rate. So 1/50 is used with 25 FPS, 1/100 is used with 50 FPS, and so on. On the Sony FX3, you also have the ability to use shutter angle, which automatically adjusts this when you change the frame rate. So I highly recommend to use that if you own an FX3. The reason this ND filter is so good is because it really doesn't have any color tint that you have to adjust for in your editing software afterwards, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it makes your job so much easier. If I had to give you one tip regarding filters, just buy a 82mm and get step-up rings for it, because this is the biggest size for most consumer lenses, so you'll only have to buy a single filter and not multiple in different sizes, which can save you a lot of money, so I highly recommend you to do that. Step 6. Microphone. The microphone I use is the Sennheiser MKE600 XLR mic. It delivers great sound and has battery for days. It can either be phantom powered or powered through AA batteries. It picks up sound super easy and it also sounds great. I don't ask for much more in a microphone. I've also bought a windshield for it, so it would be easier to use it outside since the sound comes in more clear that way. So I also highly recommend you to get a windshield. Step 7. Camera monitor. The reason this LH7P camera monitor from Portkeys is the ultimate one for me is because you can set it up so you can control parameters like aperture, ISO, shutter speed, white balance, etc. directly on the monitor with touch. Like with any other camera monitor, you can of course also use peaking, grid, false color, zebras and so on. And if you want, insert LUTs. My most used feature is however definitely the readjusting of the focus with touch, which is super useful in so many scenarios, especially when you are in manual focus. A bigger screen to more clearly see what you're doing definitely is also a game changer, especially if you're recording yourself as much as me. Step 8. Potential upgrades. The only upgrades I might do to the rig in the near future is maybe get a new lens, either the Sony 28-70mm f2 or the Sigma 28-105mm f2.8 lens. Just so I also can reach that range, which is the range I'm missing right now. Another upgrade I also might do is getting the 6-9 stop ND filter that you can put on top of the other Nisi filter that I already own. But this will most likely only be useful for super bright days where the sun is shining at full blast, or for snowy days. But these upgrades are actually also the only things I feel like I might need. Apart from that, I truly believe that I've made a phenomenal rig that I super easily can use to create 95% of all my content. And since it's so flexible everywhere, changing it up has never been easier. I hope you like my camera rig and got some inspiration for some gear you yourself could get. All the products will be listed in the description below. So if you want to find any of it, check down there. Well, I at least think this is the perfect combination for me and the footage that I record. See you in the next one. I'm out.